I'm Cape Joel, and this is Comic Smack, your weekly, daily, all-the-time, anytime comic show where I give you your fix of everything you need to know from the world of comic books and superheroes. And on today's show, we are taking a closer look at the Mighty Thor issue number 705. All roads reach their end, and for Jane Foster, the goddess of thunder, that end is coming now. But how will she meet her end, and how will she choose to meet her maker? Well, let's hop on in together and find out, shall we? So, as the comic opens, we're actually treated to a very important flashback to the night Jane Foster first took up the hammer and became Thor. She's talking to Heimdall about that oh-so-cheery of subjects, death, and you know what, hey, when you break it down, the Asgardians have actually died numerous times before in numerous different Ragnaroks. So, you know, Heimdall can relate to the mortality that Jane is feeling now. From there, we flash on forward to the present, where Thor is duking it out with the Mangog. It's an absolutely brutal fight, but right now it seems Jane is the only person able to stand up to the horrifying creature and let Asgardia be evacuated before it hits the sun or any other planet in its way. Thor Odinson is of course shocked to see Jane again. After all, he knows that transforming one last time essentially means that she signed her own death warrant right now. Odin, petty to the very end, even though his kingdom is in flames and he himself is battered and bloody, still calls Jane a hammer thief. But even a stubborn old Norse cyclops like him knows that at this point the only person who could stand up against the Mangog is a Thor with Mjolnir in hand. Jane rejoins the fight against the Mangog, and it all ends up getting pretty personal. You see, Mangog actually knows that Jane isn't a god, but a mortal, and is confused as to why someone like that would be willing to fight on the side of the gods, especially as he firsthand knows the cruelty of the gods, his life ultimately being destroyed by their actions. Jane agrees that yes, the gods can sometimes be inconsiderate, sometimes it even seems like they don't care, but the big difference between her and the Mangog is he fights for hatred while she fights for love, the love of her friends, the love of her planet. And that while Mangog may ultimately be the death and ruination of all the Asgardian gods, Jane is still human and she's still hankering for a fight. Jane's ultimate plan for taking down the beast turns out to be pretty brilliant. You see, Thor Odinson, despite his mother's protest, gets back in the fight and distracts the monster long enough for Jane to grab the chains of Fenrir. And I mean, hey, if those chains can hold the Ragnarok, well, surely they can hold Mangog, at least for a little bit. With that, Jane asks the hammer, which is sentient and is listening to her, to fly itself directly into the sun with Mangog tied to it. This means the day is saved and Asgardia can be rebuilt, but at the same time, Jane sent the hammer away from herself, which means she's going to transform back to human again and, well, die. With her last minutes of life, she takes the moment to reconcile with Thor, her former lover and friend. They share a pretty passionate kiss, and just like that, she's gone. Her final words to Odin and Thor: be gods worth worshipping, reward people's faith in you. And there you have it, everyone, the Mighty Thor issue number 705, the grand culmination of the Death of Jane Foster storyline, and what a storyline it was. It's not every day you can tell that you're in the middle of what will surely be remembered as a truly epic comic saga, but that's exactly what we got going on here with Jason Aaron. In fact, this comic basically marks the end of the second act of what will be a 3-act mega storyline that he's been writing since Marvel Now. Ever since Jane picked up the hammer, we always knew her story would have a ticking time clock, and I think it reached a really satisfying, really organic conclusion. She died on her feet, she died like a hero, and her and original Thor ultimately reconciled, which is always very nice to see. This story will also have some huge repercussions going forward. Mjolnir is seemingly gone now, Asgardia is destroyed, leaving what's left of the Asgardian people completely homeless, hey, kinda like in that new movie. And now Thor Odinson himself will have to get back on the saddle, not just for himself, but to honor the sacrifice of his friend and lover. I really like what was done with the Mangog here in this final issue. Up until now, he's been an enjoyable, if one-note, rampaging monster character. Here they do a great job juxtaposing what drives him and what drives Jane. In conclusion, this was a hell of a finale to a hell of a story and a hell of a run from one hell of a writer. I would give this one a 10 out of 10. We are going to be talking about this one for a very long time to come. So that's the Mighty Thor, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, be sure to take a closer look at some of these other videos I've been working on. Then you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Cape Joel, so you're always up to date on what I'm doing next. And hey, if you like what I do and are feeling in a supportive mood, please by all means check out my Patreon link down in the description. Patrons get exclusive access to videos and content before anyone else, and you can do so for as little as $1 a month. And until next time, everyone, this has been Cape Joel. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you all again later. Bye-bye.